All right, so here's another example of a real world problem using trig equations. All right, so here Tobias is jumping on a trampoline, Victoria watches and bounds, la la la. When Victoria starts her stopwatch, so this is important. So when the stopwatch is started, that means time is 0 in the beginning. So let's say by our equation here, we have A, S, C, and D. So now A is our amplitude, C is going to be our shift, and then D is our midline. So then it says S is time. So okay, so here is where S is going to equal 0. That's just something to notice. We're going to need that later, I'm sure. All right, so in the beginning, it says find the value of A, the amplitude of the function. So the amplitude, remember, it tells us the distance our function goes up and down from the trend line. And let's start here, the trampoline frame. I'll just draw it here. This is the trampoline frame here. So when we start, it says that Tobias is 30 centimeters below the frame. So I'll say, like down here, let's say it's negative 30 centimeters below the frame. At his maximum height, it says he's 50 centimeters above the frame. So that's 50. So I want that midpoint, that midline between the 50 and 30. So if you look at it, you can say, okay, altogether, this is 80, which means I'm going to be going 40 up and 40 down. So 40 up, I'll say from negative 30, so like to here, that's like 40. And then down here, that's 40, which means my midline is right here. If I'm going 40 up and 40 down, this is obviously going to be 10. And since I'm going 40 up and 40 down, this represents the amplitude. So here A is 40. And then for part B, I found D. D is 10 because the midline is at 10. That makes it even, so I go up 40, down 40. The other way to do this is, well, you know that since it's pretty much the midline, you can just say, was it 50 plus 30 divided by 2? That's your amplitude. And then you're going to do 50 minus 40. That's going to give you your D. And then now for part C, let's see, okay. Find the value of C. So this is C right here. And they're telling it, so this is telling us C has to be a fraction. It's between 0 and 1. That's actually helpful. So we're going to look at our equation again. We have h of s, I'll write it here. H of s, that's our height, equals a sine 2 pi s minus c plus d. Let's fill in what we know. That's 40. We have 2 pi. And then we have s minus c. We don't know those yet, but we do know that d is 10. 10, there we go. So if I h of s here. So now, okay, let's start from what's given in the beginning. When Victoria starts her stopwatch, oh, look at that, s equals 0. The minimum height, the minimum height is 30. So we have s is 0, and then the minimum height, h, is 30. So what we can do is we can actually say, oh, look. So 30 equals 40 sine 2 pi 0 minus c plus 10. And then we'll just use algebra, just like the other problem, to solve for c. And now, just one more thing. Remember, that was below the trampoline. So that'd be negative, so this is going to be negative 2. All right, so what we're going to do here is some algebra. First thing I can do is like, oh, look at that, minus 10. So I get negative 40 equals 40 sine 2 pi 0 minus c. That, look at that, 0 minus c. Wouldn't that just be negative c? So we negative 40 equals 40 sine 2 pi times negative c, which will give me negative 40 sine negative 2 pi c. And then we'll look at this. So this is telling us that we have a negative angle in here. And by the unit circle, this is something you could see on the unit circle. We know that sine of a negative angle is going to equal, that's theta, negative sine theta. And you'd see that on the unit circle. So we can actually write this as negative 40 equals negative 40 sine of 2 pi c, like that. So then we can divide both sides by negative 40 and we'll get, 1 equals sine 2 pi c. And then just do 1 equals sine 2 pi c, the inverse sine. So sine inverse that, sine inverse that. So we know boom, boom. And we're left with, on this side, we're left with 2 pi c. And on the left side, it's like, okay, so where is sine? What angle in radians? What angle will give us 1 for sine? Well, it'll be on the y-axis, which is pi over 2. Get that from the unit circle. And now you just solve this for c. So divide both sides, or you can just multiply both sides by 1 over 2 pi times 1 over 2 pi. And we're left with c on that side. And so that will cancel out. Just, there you go, like that. But the 2 stays, the 2 stays. We're left with 2 times 2 is 4, so 1 over 4. That's our fraction. C is less than 1, greater than 0, fraction like they said it would be. And then for this last part, part D, at what time does, looking for S, does the height, or does Tobias reach a height of 30 centimeters? So H equals 30. And we're just going to use this equation again. And this time we're given the height, so it's just going to be what, 30 equals, A was 40, sine 2 pi, and then we're looking for S, minus, we know C is 1/4, that's what we just got, and then plus D was 10. And now this, we're going to use the same algebra. You can go backwards and find S, just minus 10. We'll get 20 equals 40 sine 2 pi, S minus 1/4. And then continue on from there, divide by 40. So we get 1/2 equals sine 2 pi, S minus 1/4. And then you'll just do inverse sine to get S by itself.